we can explain his victory, Macri's victory, on much of what is expected from him. For example, his campaign creed was, let's stop fighting, let's stop arguing. Why? Because it was a characteristic of Argentina and other leftist governments in Latin America to keep arguing with opposition, with other countries, with the US, with the Western world, with all players, to try and keep momentum in the local news agenda. But this discussion, argument, has tired many Argentines, and that's one of the reasons why they chose this man who speaks for friendship, understanding, cooperation, so on and so forth. The other one clearly is inflation. Argentina has one of the highest inflation rates in the world, and that eats into everybody's income here in Argentina. It's a major campaign issue. And of course, given the higher than, nobody actually really knows what the inflation rate is, because figures are not really, official figures are not really trusted. So people argue that inflation goes from somewhere between 15 to 25 to 30% a year. This means that voters, people, the man in the street wonders how much money he will really have when he gets paid. That was probably the second factor that brought Argentines against the current government and made Macri the new president, Maggie.
Absolutely. So he has a lot of expectations, very high expectations he has to meet, probably not just from the voters as well. It seems foreign investors are hoping this is going to usher in some change. What should we expect there?
Well, there's a lot going on in the international front. There are already reports by news agencies saying that Argentine bonds, debt have risen in value, and all assets related to Argentina are rising, are being appreciated. The point here is that Argentina has to return to international debt markets. Remember that some small portion of that 90 billion default at the beginning of the century is still outstanding, has still been unpaid, and is contested in New York courts. There is about 1.5 billion that are currently contested, and that may become 8 billion for some Me Too clauses that are right now under Judge Griesa in New York criteria. There's a number of things that can happen, but the fact is that Argentina is still, after 14 years, in some kind of default, and that was never solved. This new government needs to find some understanding with those investors who still hold those bonds, and first, and second, go back into international debt markets, because currently, the Argentine economy has been anemic for 3-4 years, and of course, Mr. Macri has to show quick results, has to show effective growth, and that is what everybody is expecting. And the way to get there is to bring in international investors. Argentines are no longer investing in the country because, of course, with this inflation rate, with an anemic economy where they cannot sell their goods, right, the access to international markets is key right now, and that is what we all expect him to do next, Maggie.
One certainly suspects that his honeymoon period is going to be very short indeed. He's got to roll up his sleeves and get to work.